Hello everyone, welcome to an impromptu stream. I have a question for you, and I was just thinking about this the other day / today. Hello, how are you? We're going to be taking a quick moment to talk about online privacy. Does it even exist anymore in this day and age? What do we think? What can we do in steps to protect ourselves online? So if you're down for that discussion, I hope you are. Welcome to the stream. And I just want to take a second to say happy Saturday. I realize this is not the normal type of stream that we would be doing. It is not Tuesday. It is not Thursday. Yes, I know what day of the week it is, but I thought it would still be fun to have this discussion. Anyway, so just finished a meetup with a whole bunch of local creators, which is super fun to do. And actually the topic today was around streaming. So I was like, oh, this is just a good time to come on and talk about this while I'm still thinking about it. But online privacy, this issue came up. How does one protect themselves online when it comes to privacy? Is there such a thing as online privacy? What information are viewers entitled to, and what information are you completely okay with keeping to yourself? So if you're here and you want to talk about that, let's get into it. Okay, so first of all, I wanted to say, like, so much of our lives is not private at all. You know what I'm saying? So like everything from, do you remember when all of the James Charles stuff went down and people were live streaming their like decline of viewers and subscribers, whatever you want to call it, and it was like becoming this popcorn moment where everyone was watching and be like, oh my god, how low can it go? So even something as interesting as subscriber counts for channels because of a reaction to some sort of scandal, not private. You know what I'm saying? So anytime that you have some sort of interaction with some person, you are, let's say you're a celebrity and you're rude to someone at a restaurant, or you refuse someone a picture at a meet and greet or whatever it is, hopefully not at a meet and greet, that would be awful. Those moments will be broadcast and probably recorded and put out to the world so that everyone can judge you. Now, in that particular moment, are you expected any level of privacy? And what's more, even if you have something that should be private, are you even required to have to respond to it? Because it seems like, oh, hello, Pixel Pia. Hello, Corruptions Our Network. It seems like if you don't respond to people, then it's almost like agreeing with whatever has happened. Or if you come out and say something for or against, then all of a sudden it can just be this big ol' fluff storm that just isn't good either. So a lot of people will end up staying silent on so many things because they're just waiting for things to pass over. And then sometimes when they do make statements, really depending on the quality of it, and this is going to then kind of marry into what we love to lovingly refer to as cancel culture. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but apparently we've been canceling a lot of people lately. So there are some absolutely that deserve, sure, to be canceled. And I'm saying loosely deserve when you say this, because it's like, does anyone deserve? I'm going to be like, yeah, maybe if they killed someone or did something like that's a crime, they probably deserve to be canceled. But most of the time, it's some sort of disagreement with someone, and it's been now like being blown out of proportion, or everyone is going back and forth in this he said, she said, and it's just, is it not exhausting, this back and forth? I have a friend who has been canceled kind of recently, and it's been nothing but videos and videos and videos continually being made about this person, about decisions they've made, from everything to their age, to how they dress, to you know, if they have children. And like all of a sudden it becomes like, when did it become okay for you to start talking about people online and their families and their fiancés and the other people who you know, or their spouses or their parents? When did that suddenly become okay? And are some things just not private? Now, some people are a little bit more open, trusting, probably reveal too much. And then there's some people that you know really nothing about when it comes online, right? When it comes to certain people, you know very, very little about their lives because they very seldomly speak about their lives. So that could be almost like a Joe Alwyn and Taylor Swift romance. Very few people ever get to see that inside of that relationship, yet everyone speculates and talks about it as if they know something or have any real anything into that. And I just think it's interesting that there are varying levels now, whether it's because, you know, you are a person of a certain age, person of a certain gender identity, person of a certain race, that all of a sudden it becomes this mouthpiece. You're either a mouthpiece for an entire group of people or you're a reflection of that entire group of people. So let me further explain and delve into this. It's just really, really interesting to me. So one of the discussions that we were having was interactions that people have on different platforms. So whether that's Twitch, whether that's Clubhouse, whether it's YouTube and stuff like that. And all of a sudden it can become very like, well, I really like this platform and I think it's amazing. And then someone else can be like, well, I really hate that platform because it's the meanest that people have ever been to me. And it's like something like Reddit, right? When did holding someone accountable also equate to diving into the depths of their life? So all these people want to say something about like, I'm just holding them accountable. And I'm like, are you, Susie? When you're actually going after them and saying that their significant other is doing something or is supporting someone, and what does that have to do with the person that you want to hold accountable? And I also don't feel like sometimes there are people that are offended by this. Really should have been a video to go on my Shelly Shares Her Day channel. I'll probably unlist this after this live stream. So if you're here, enjoy it now because it probably will not stay up. But when did holding someone accountable then become wanting to watch that person fall? You know what I mean? Like we love to like build people up, the underdog story, and then all of a sudden build them up into this big hero moment, but not too much. And you better appreciate us, otherwise we're gonna take it all away. And when did that become acceptable? Just like when did it become acceptable to roll up to YouTubers' houses, knock on the door and start asking for photos and asking for autographs? Like, why should Rosanna Pansino have to say, please don't come to my house? Why should Julian Solomita have to say, please don't come to Jenna and Julian's house? Why is that even a question? Why does James Charles have to say, don't come to my house? Okay. Where is that level of privacy and respect? Just because these people are public figures, just because you have this parasocial relationship with them because they're on YouTube, they're more real people, you think you know them more than you would know Jennifer Aniston. Do you think it would be acceptable to roll up to Jennifer Aniston's house and be like, hey, I love your movies, can I get a photo? No. But somehow people think it's okay to roll up to YouTubers' houses and ask for an autograph. And then I don't understand the parents that are coming with their children and then telling these people, you should really be grateful. You should be nice to them. We buy your merchandise. And you're like, who should be raising these children? Okay, but who raised these parents? Who raised these parents to think that that was okay? Because I assure you, it is not okay. Now, up until doing live streams, thank you, buddy. Good shakes. Up until doing live streams, I think you guys knew very, very little about my life. I didn't tell you a lot about, my family. I didn't tell you a lot about my life. I didn't tell you a lot about my job. I didn't tell you a lot about much, right? It was, let's get into the meat of this tutorial and let's have it be over because I'm not trying to waste your time. Live streams are more so a place where I can actually chat with y'all and get a little bit more personal, but that doesn't mean that people still don't good shake, buddy. People don't try to cross the line and ask questions that I don't think are appropriate. And so what is the most polite and better way to come across and say like, hey, we're having firm boundaries here and we're not going to talk about that without sounding mean, without not appreciating your audience? And so it brings up the question is like, how much privacy can you still have? What precautions can you take? So, maybe you don't post about the restaurant that you're at while you're still at the restaurant, right? Why do, and especially a lot of the time for females, I believe sometimes they have to take extra precautions because you don't want random people showing up to your house, thinking that they're going to be your boyfriend or your little sister or whatever else it is. And people are doing this. And so now all of a sudden it's like houses are getting swatted. We've got the guy who's sleeping whose address was revealed because someone did the Alexa trick through the stream. I mean, people had to move. People are getting, like I said, houses attacked because someone made a mistake somewhere and put out information. So what if you accidentally, when I was doing an unboxing and I didn't have it sent to my UPS box, but I had it sent to my home address, and I accidentally flashed that on the screen for just a second too long and someone screenshotted it and was able to find out where I live, right? I don't think that people sometimes realize that even putting yourself out online as much as we show is still sometimes terrifying enough. And there are certain people, not all people, right? Not all people are bad, but there are certain people who will take that information and either sometimes try to use it against you or try to gain some sort of relationship with you that you wouldn't normally have with them. And so I feel like there are some precautions that need to be done. So whether it comes to showing you a tutorial on my phone, you might find that I put blurs on what's on my camera roll. Not that I have any kind of pictures that I'm ashamed of, but it's because I'm still protecting privacy. I might actually use a phone that has no notifications and doesn't have my login information because I don't want to have anything accidentally come across the screen, especially if it's live. I may pan away in a live stream to a site just to make sure that the next screen that is showing doesn't show, the address or the email address I'm using for something or anything else, right? There are a lot of precautions that people have to take, and still things will go through the cracks. We've got people trying to do background checks on each other, right? We've got Without a Crystal Ball, which is a commentary channel here on YouTube, who delves so far across the line into personal information for Tati Westbrook and James Westbrook that they're in the midst of an entire lawsuit right now for defamation because Katie Joy decided to also dig up information, made umpteenth videos about the Westbrooks, about calling the husband a crook, and then presenting opinions as if they were facts. And there are a ton of videos about this that you can look at, including like Emily D. Baker. There are a ton of channels talking about this, but it becomes like a privacy issue. Like you're going and looking for court records, you're going and looking for background checks on people. Why? So you can report on them? Like it's a little bit scary that what people are doing to each other online. And I don't want to scare anyone from ever being online, but I feel like it is a real thing that you guys have to be aware of. And in the beginning, like maybe you don't talk about what elementary school your child goes to or how old they are, or even if you have kids, or, what age and gender they may be. And so I fear for a lot of these family vlogger channels sometimes too, whose main characters are sometimes children, right? And children who can't grant consent to having this kind of information shared. Now, whether that's something as personal and embarrassing as to getting my first period, now people know at what age, and just everything that's inappropriate with that. People doing things from like the Stoffers, where they adopted a child who ended up having special needs and then basically returning the child. I mean, when your life is online like that, I think it's pretty scary. And when you've got like a situation like the Daddy of Five, where they're basically forcing their kids to make these videos, it's very clear and apparent that they don't want to. And then to the point where it's considered emotional trauma and abuse, to where then maybe the children get taken away. And at what point did becoming a YouTuber or family YouTuber become so glamorized that we feel that we would have to talk about people in those kind of circumstances, in those situations? It's very, very inappropriate, I guess is the right word. And I get why some people don't want to share any of that kind of information, because it opens the door into a whole level of inappropriateness. And then there are people that just overshare too much. There are so many of you out there that are oversharing too much, and that may or may not be why your audience loves you. But it's also something that you have to realize could come back and actually be a detriment to you. So I know we're talking about kind of heavy topics here, but I feel like there's almost got to be at some point this online code of conduct when it comes to viewers and when it comes to people being on video and sharing their lives. So I feel like there should be a reasonable expectation of privacy. If you're out and about, if I'm walking down the street and you happen to see me, if we're at VidCon, if we're at VidSummit and you want to stop and say hello, I think that's appropriate. I think that's fine. I think you can ask for a picture, but you don't have to expect one. And you certainly probably don't have the right to get angry if someone declines. If you see them eating dinner with their family, maybe not walking over to their conversation, breaking up the family chat and asking for a selfie at a restaurant. Maybe that's inappropriate. When you're dropping your kids off at school and you're in the middle of like breaking up a fight, maybe that's not the right time to talk to people about that, right? Maybe I think that there should be an expected level of privacy. If you are the Addison Rae, you shouldn't be stalked by the paparazzi while you're sitting in your car crying and having them just outside of your window continuing to take photos. Like, what picture in publication is worth that? Why are you selling that? Like, and I feel like no one in that situation wanted to step in and be like, this is not appropriate, this is not okay. This is a literal teenager crying in her car, and you're pelting her with questions about her breakup or potential breakup or boyfriend. Like, this is where you lead to a Britney Spears breakdown. This is where you lead to paparazzi chasing and killing Diana, Princess Diana. This is where you have Meghan Markle and, Prince Harry. He's not a prince, is he? You know what I mean? Having to leave the royal family. And then everyone turning against, as if she's the villain, when there is an expected level of privacy that I think is okay to have. I don't think that it's appropriate, and I think the practice where, Kate Middleton or something comes out 6 hours after having a baby in full hair and makeup, smiling while holding a baby. Are you kidding me? Who says that picture has to be taken? Why can't we have a, pregnancy reveal photo like the one that Meghan Markle and her husband did? Why is that not okay? Why does it have to be commissioned by some famous person? Why does it have to be a spectacle? Why can't we just let people have that level of privacy? I don't think for a moment that it was the paparazzi. The princess. Oh, well, that's a whole conspiracy theory. Well, I will say that no matter what, they hounded her, way after she had gotten divorced. And I think that voracious appetite that the public has, that, basically that the tabloids have, we see it over and over again, this lack of privacy. And for all the people who are always like, well, if you're a public figure and put yourself online, then you deserve for people to want to know more about you. Okay. Susie, I'm pretty sure you posted what you had at breakfast this morning on Instagram. Does that mean I get to know where you live and, how old your kids are? And no, there's a certain, just because anyone else has a little bit of online fame or movie fame or whatever you want to call it, has a little bit of celebrity to their name, it doesn't deny them and strip them of the rights of being a human and expecting a reasonable level of privacy and enjoyment in their life. They shouldn't have to rent out an entire resort because you can't trust that the person next to you isn't actually renting a thing to the paparazzi and getting photos of you. I think that sometimes there aren't clear enough boundaries set when it comes to online. Like, I can share with you my tutorials. I can share with you, information that I want to share, but I think it's sometimes rude when people come across and feel entitled to more than that. So Fallon and Fam says, we post reels about a week after we go someplace. Excellent. Okay. Yeah. So Pixel P is saying, you've been online since the 90s, and what has disappeared is etiquette. And there's a problem, and it should be part of everyone's education, including online security and inline acceptable behavior. Yes, absolutely. Or online. Yeah, exactly. So when I was like, who's raising these kids? Well, if the parents are showing up and then yelling at the celebrity, where, you had, there was a couple of boys, I don't even know who they are, whose father died. And then everyone on social media started saying that the funeral was going to be a PR thing, like a meet and greet, where people could come and take photos, and people were tweeting about it. And the people were like, please don't come to our father's funeral for a meet and greet. This is not a thing. Why are we making this a thing? This is not an acceptable thing. And I don't feel like people are being taught, exactly like you said, etiquette. It is not appropriate for you to show up at a YouTuber's house. It is not appropriate for you to ask them questions about fertility, when they're getting married, their sexual orientation, whatever they don't want to share. And it may be that they want to share, but it doesn't mean just because you can ask the question that it deserves a response or that they have to answer for you. And I just feel like it's a little scary because I have no idea how many people are watching. I have no idea if you're cool, if you're going to try and come to my house and kill me, if you're going to try and send 100 pizzas to my house and have me pay for it. That's the thing. You put out information out into the world, you have no idea who's actually going to be on the other side and consuming it. Now, if that meant that every single person who ever watched anything or commented anything had to have an account, had to have an IP address that was tied to something in case of, abuse or tracking or something like that, that would be nice, because there are a lot of people out there who make very vile and disgusting comments to people because they are promised anonymity. And I feel like if they had to be held responsible for every single thing that they put out online, if it almost like floated above your head as you walked around society so people could see what kind of comments you leave, who you direct your vitriol towards, besides whatever you want to portray. Because it seems like whenever a lot of these things come out, it's like, oh, I'm not really like that, or I'm not really racist, or I'm not really sexist, or I'm not really whatever. And it's like, wow, that's so interesting, because your entire comment thread history here on Reddit, on Beauty Guru Chatter, on every single negative site there is out there, is you bashing this person, this company, only saying negative things. And I feel like a lot of people don't realize that negativity also that you spew out into the world is actually degrading to people and denigrating their enjoyment for even sharing. So you could make a comment to someone, you're like, wow, you're hardly ever even online anymore. And they are trying their very best to battle through depression and try to even make a video. And then when it's not well received and people are just criticizing them for not showing up more. And so it becomes this like, oh, well, I shouldn't just even be here. And so I think there's just a general lack of kindness, but also, like I said, this, I don't know what to call it, not the anonymity part, but just the not realizing that whatever you say is sometimes going to stick with people, even if it doesn't stick with you after putting it out there into the world. And I just feel like people really need to take a minute and reflect sometimes about the relationships that they think that they have with people. So if you think that it would be okay to roll up to Lady Gaga's house and knock on the door and ask for a selfie, right? You'd probably be like, no, probably not so much. But yet hundreds of thousands of people, or 12 million people, or whatever it is, think it's okay to ask someone about their pregnancy, or if they're pregnant, or if they're trying to get pregnant, or goodness, if someone actually does announce a pregnancy, the barrage of comments that come from advice that was never asked for, and just all sorts of comments but you think that's okay because they're YouTubers, or they're people online, they're just Twitch streamers, they're just Instagram people, they're just TikTokers, as if there isn't an expected level of privacy that should be afforded to everyone. So, hey, Cooking Cop and Babe, hey, I'm thinking of you. No, awesome. No, I totally understand. And entitlement is 100% of the celebrity's life, thoughts, and feelings. Absolutely. So, and I feel like sometimes people would almost be open to sharing more if there was a level of trust and a level of trust basically built up with our audience. And it's not like anyone that's here, because obviously y'all are great. But if you're someone who has 13 million followers on Instagram, even sharing the news that you're pregnant or going through a divorce, like if you're Rachel Hollis and mentioning that you're going to go through a divorce, and yet you have a whole career built on like a successful marriage or something like that, I think it was, the number of comments that you're going to get about that, about your life, about why your marriage disintegrated, about whatever. I don't even watch Rachel Hollis. I don't know, but you guys get the idea. And people love to see it. They love to see it. They love to watch, Bad Girls Club, and they love to watch The Real Housewives, and they love for those explosive moments. And those are supposed to be private moments. Those are supposed to be, and then of course some are sensationalized, or something as heartbreaking as I don't know, something trivial like The Bachelor. You've got all these people trying to like basically reveal that they're trying to fall in love, which is a very vulnerable time. And then they run through games, they run through heartbreak, they run through situations that are just ridiculous. And then all the while they have TV shows and producers painting them in directions, in like characteristics that may not even be anything close to what they are. And then having the entire world judge them for a few snippets and moments online, and judging their character as to who they are for the rest of their life. You're a villain, you're a airhead, you're a bimbo, you're a hopeless romantic, or whatever it is, and you're categorized as that forever. So, that is going to be a really long, I tried to get, I don't know what that is. Okay, so I'm not going to read that. Wait, are you spamming me in my own live stream? Yeah, I feel like you're spamming me in my own live stream. Oh, sweetie, you picked the wrong person. So that's not cool. That's not cool at all, actually. 1 second. And how do I just delete that? Oh, irritating. Anyways, that's really what I wanted to share with everyone, is that, hey, photo the kawaii. Thank you. I'm glad that you guys know what I'm talking about, and I just really wanted to say, I think Pixelpia had it nail on the head. There's a lack of etiquette. There's a influx of entitlement, and I just really want everyone to be safe and considerate. And I know that I don't want to scare anyone. I don't want to be like, you shouldn't put any of your information online. But unfortunately, it's a time and place and period in our lives on the internet, and that's where we are as a society. And I don't want anything bad to happen to any of y'all out there, period. And if there's anything that we can do to help minimize that and increase your safety online, then I want to at least illuminate that maybe we could do that, So maybe some of the stuff that I alluded to earlier, like don't share your screen all the time, or don't show your address. Don't do a house tour with your windows open where people can see the landmarks and try and triangulate your location. You know what I'm saying? There are people out there like that. Maybe don't say what company you work at. Maybe, don't say how old your children are and what school they go to. And you can be generic and say something like, I live in Seattle. Now, whether that happens to be a 60-mile radius from that city or not, you don't owe anyone a certain level of honesty or truth or transparency, because I'm not trying to scare anyone, but like, you don't owe that to anyone. And in fact, if you never wanted to say where you live or even what country you live, that would be okay too. So whatever you have to do to feel safe so that you can continue showing up online, I think that's fine. You should do that, because the heart of the matter is that you should feel safe when you're online. So, I mean, and there's nothing anymore that's private. Or, does online privacy even exist when everything's tied to an IP, when everything is tied to, maybe you can have a VPN, or not allowing, you guys have seen all of the stuff coming out around all of the different apps and that are tracking how much information, and Apple's making them be more transparent about how much information they're using and how they're using it. And I think people were aware that that stuff was happening, but it's so much more in your face now because people are talking about it, and I'm glad people are talking about that. So to all the ladies out there, please be safe. To all the viewers out there, please don't think that because someone is a YouTuber versus an Instagram celebrity versus whatever, that your relationship with them is any different than, like, if you're trying to roll up on Taylor Swift. People are still people, yes. Everyone should have a reasonable level expectation of privacy online. And I know that it's really tempting to be like, this is what I had for breakfast and this is the restaurant I'm at, but maybe just do it 3 hours after you've left. Maybe do it the next week and say, this was my Sunday brunch. Maybe don't post the Instagram story while you're still at the location. Maybe post it, 50 minutes later. I think we all saw what happened to Kim Kardashian in one of those scary moments and people want to downplay that and be like, oh, she's a celebrity. But you know what? Here's the thing, is she's a celebrity who shares her life, and she got robbed at gunpoint, and people want to say, oh, she's a celebrity, it's not that big a deal. It's a big deal. If someone is scared for their life, if someone gets robbed, and can she afford to replace everything? Sure, that's not the point. The point is people were able to use her location because of social media posts, because of knowing her schedule, and it put her in a very vulnerable situation that could have turned out much worse. She could have died. She could have died. And I know people want to minimize that, but it's stuff like that. It happens. It can happen to everyone. And just because a celebrity or not celebrity, I just want you all out there to be safe. So that's really what I wanted to talk about. I don't know, you guys, this is so off topic for what I normally talk about. I don't know if I'll keep this one up, but yeah, stay safe. I am in filming mode today. I'll be filming a video for tomorrow, and then of course I'll see you live next week. So I hope you guys have a good afternoon. Thanks for hanging out with me and listening to my brain dump. Appreciate all of you. All right, have a good one.